Hey guys, Dr. S here. Thank you so much for joining me for Word of Mouth with Dr. S. Stay tuned. What is happening? So, hello, and hello. All right, so I am double checking to make sure we are live, and we are. Hey guys, Dr. S here. It is Thursday. It's the second Thursday, so you all may know that on the second Thursdays, I do Word of Mouth with Dr. S. It is not always a set idea what's going to happen. So you might get some coaching, you might get some therapy, you might get some prayer, you might get some something and something. Whatever it is, I promise you it's going to be good. So if you are popping on right now, say hey in the comments so I can say hey back. If you would do me a favor and tag somebody. Maybe someone's never heard of Dr. S, maybe someone you need to hear what's going on. Maybe just you want to help me get the word out. So tag and share. While we're doing that, how has your week been? Y'all have plans for the weekend? My married people, my coupled people, are y'all doing something for Valentine's Day? My single people, what y'all doing? Representing what's going on? Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. As you may know, I try not to hold you long. So I'm gonna get into what I've been thinking about. If you have thoughts, which I hope you do, please comment and we will go from there. So Dr. S here, dropping nuggets you didn't know you needed. And as always, it's my hope and prayer that they will help you be your best you. And I'm gonna say this really quickly. This just popped in my head. It was not my intent to say this, but I was just talking to my friend Tasha earlier today. I'm gonna tag her in case she is um around years ago. At this point, it's probably been 8 years ago. She reached out to me and she was like, I really believe that the Lord is telling me to tell you you're going to be, doing videos and going live. And at that time, this was the last thing on my mind. And I was like, nope, that's not me. I can't see myself doing that. And here I am, all these years later. Can't wait to pop on and talk to y'all about all of the things. And so I just want to share that really quickly because sometimes we'll get these words, we'll get these prophecies, and they seem so far-fetched. They seem so unrealistic. They seem so unlike your character or where you are in that moment. But because God is outside of time, and he knows the end from the beginning. He is often telling us where he is trying to get us to go. And so rather than fight that, like I did, let's lean into it and see what the Lord is saying. So I'm going to tag a couple of other people just in case people are around, just in case it hadn't popped up yet in their respective timelines. Again, if you know people, please tag them. All right, so let me again just welcome you into this space and let you know of a couple of things that are coming up. So next Thursday starts SWAG, which is our support, worship, and accountability group. That's for like-minded ladies who are needing and feeling like they would benefit from having that accountability, having that support, and having that in a space of prayer and worship. It's only 6 sessions throughout this year. So every other month, it's virtual, so you can tap in from anywhere in the United States of America and beyond. It's $60, which I feel like is a steal given what you are going to receive during that time together. So if you're interested in that, drshalay.com/current events to register for that. And maybe you can't come to all 6 or you already know your schedule out far enough in advance that like, oh, I might miss one. Still sign up. Don't not come because of one. Right. In 2 weeks, Dr. Anissa and I will be popping on for Scripted Love. So this time our series is Brotherly Love, and we're talking about Black rom-coms that are focused on men, right? So last month we talked about The Wood. This month we're talking about The Brothers. Next month we will be talking about The Best Man. So if there are some Black rom-com movies that really focus on the male perspective and we haven't mentioned them, then put it in the comments so we can look those up. And then the last thing I want to mention is a Whole Woman Expo, which is happening April the 11th. So full day event, dynamic, phenomenal speakers are going to be there, and I will be sharing tomorrow who those folks are. So be sure to be on the lookout tomorrow and beyond. You can register for that event also at my website. And I encourage you to go ahead and get your ticket because the first 25 ladies who register will get a discounted price. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the things. Let's talk about the reason why I'm popping on today. I would say that today's word of mouth is leaning a little more into that like kind of therapeutic space. So let me give this disclaimer. While I am a licensed clinical social worker, while I do conduct therapy, which, quick little plug, if you need therapy, if you're in Missouri, you have insurance, I can absolutely help you with that. If you're not in Missouri and you want to work with me, I also provide coaching, so I can help with that. So, no, okay, so that's it. So this is kind of coming from that therapeutic slant. This in and of itself is not therapy. This conversation, this word of mouth, my sharing with you, is not therapy, right? But it is my thoughts from a therapeutic lens. So I just wanted to put that quick little disclaimer out. So as I'm talking today, I'm going to be, maybe it may feel therapeutic in some ways. It may be some things said, some concepts shared that you're like, huh, that's interesting. I would like to learn more about that. So I want to kind of put that in as far as context. So a couple of weeks ago, I was privileged to be in a space of, again, just phenomenal, dope, just experienced, seasoned facilitators who were leading myself and 19 other individuals, this cohort where we were exploring this concept of Black liberation. So it really was tapping into our experiences over our respective lifetimes of discrimination, racism, oppression, and how we have, by default, internalized a lot of the things that we have seen, we have personally experienced, our family members, generations, we can go deep into that, how we have internalized those things. And so part of this week-long retreat, I would even call it, was really having some important conversations and doing some deep self-reflection on things that we have experienced over our lifetime, right? So, think about the time when you felt fill in the blank. Think about the time when you experienced fill in the blank. Think about, and we are having these conversations. Hey, Dr. A, thank you for popping on. We are having these conversations about these experiences and how they have shaped us. And so one of, I don't even remember the prompt, but one of the small group activities, we were given this prompt, and I think it was something kind of about maybe from childhood, but it was like, when was the first time you felt again, whatever it was. And as I was thinking about my life, the thing that came to my mind when I was maybe like, I'm gonna say like seven or eight-ish. And I was at my childhood home, and we had a house, and it was up kind of on a hill, so the driveway. was on this hill, and I remember taking my crayons and drawing this huge self-portrait, right? It was, I wish it was, now where it could have been a picture of it somewhere, but I drew this huge self-portrait in crayon, and I was just so excited because I'd, shown my creative side, and just done this wonderful thing. And I remember saying something to my mom about it, like, in my excitement, like, look what I did, blah, blah, blah. And I don't remember her exact words or response, but I remember that she was upset. I remember that she was mad that I had drawn on the driveway. I remember that she asked a neighbor to come and scrub it, and I don't remember what he used. It could have been some bleach or something like that, but I remember him like pouring it over the driveway and my self-portrait disappearing. And so what I didn't mention is today's word of mouth. I'm kind of entitling it the time I disappeared. So I remember just like watching the wax from the crayon, like, trickling down the driveway, and this portrait, this image of me that I was very excited about going away. And so as I was sharing this with the small group, I was like, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about that, right? I hadn't thought about that experience. So that prompt caused me to think about that experience, and it made me cry. Like in this group, I started crying because I was like, that's the first time I can cognitively remember feeling erased, feeling unimportant, feeling like self was being made invisible, right? And that kind of was like the start of me, on the one hand, having these experiences where I viewed other people viewing me as not important, and me perceiving that as me being unimportant, and therefore I started to shrink back. I started to take up less space. Hey, Makia, how are you? I started to take up less space because I felt like people didn't deem me as important. So I could also share like being in class, and I thought I was smart, and I remembered not being called on, like my hand being up and not being called on, and other people around me being called on instead. And I remember cognitively thinking, like making a conscious decision to not raise my hand, to not be seen, to let other people answer. Fast forward to my adult life, I have graduated from college not once, but twice, in my first professional job on this team at work. And I remember we would kind of brainstorm possibilities for our clients. So I was working at a residential facility. So in my mind, we're on a team. We our whole purpose is to create plans of action and success for the young people who we are working with. And I remember after a meeting, one of the supervisors on that team, who was not my direct boss, but she was over the group, the facility, the that particular house, residential part. And I remember her saying, hey, so when we're in meetings, can you not make suggestions? Because when you talk, people really listen to you. Like when you talk, they take your ideas, and then they don't really think of other things. So can you not do that? So yet another moment when it's like, okay, I need to not be seen. I need to be invisible. I need to not show up. Me showing up makes other people feel some kind of way, right? They try to disappear me. They try to make me Maybe that's not their intention, but that's what happens, right? So all of these experiences are compiling, and how I'm internalizing that from youth to adulthood is I am unimportant and I should just take a step back and not show up fully like I could or should or need to. So anyway, I'm recalling all of this in this workshop, and I'm just thinking about how subconsciously and also consciously those experiences have shaped me. And now what do I do with that? So now I have this awareness. Now I'm making these connections. Now, how do I shift? How do I now start to show up for myself in a way that God intended? Right. So how can I be the person fully that God intended me to be? And so now I'm on this journey, continued journey of recognizing who I am. Y'all may know this, but one of my favorite words that I learned, gosh, it's been about 4 or 5 years ago now, is anaba, which is the Greek word for humble, and it means to take up your God-given space, to take up all of your God-given space, so to not shrink down and to be fully who God has created you to be. So how can I continue to do that? So I give you all this backstory. One, because some of you may be able to relate to that, right? You may be able to relate to experiences in your own life when you have been made to feel less than. You have been made to feel, what is it? We used to say children should be seen and not heard. If you look at it from a race-based perspective, where, just as a people, as a color, as a race, we've been expected to, be on the back of the bus. Okay, shout out Black History Month. Um, and so you may be able to relate to my specific story, or maybe that's not your story, that's not your experience, but you absolutely have a story. You absolutely have some times and some experiences and some situations where something happened that impacted you over the course of years, and now maybe you are living and presenting and showing up in a way that is not authentically you, right? It is not fully you because you have allowed yourself to be molded by those experiences. And I don't say that to make it like we are taking blame or it's our fault or anything like that. Like, we're just out here living life and we are navigating spaces in a way um, to help us be safe, right? So for me, in my experience, to be safe, I felt like I had to be small. To be safe, I felt like I had to draw back. To show up meant somebody was going to say something about me and then I was going to feel a kind of way. So there's no judgment in what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that our life experiences do absolutely impact how we show up, right? Staying hydrated. All right. So acknowledging that you have a story, acknowledging it may be like mine, it may be something very different. Whatever your story is, these are some things I would like you to take away from what I just shared that may help you also get to a place of self-realization, self-exploration, and making that shift that maybe you've been holding off on. Maybe you didn't even realize that you needed to make. But as you're listening to me share my story, you might be like, it's 2026. Let me get on that. Let me work on this. And again, thank you guys for popping on, for hanging out. If you're watching, please say hey in the comments. I can say hey back. And if you feel like this conversation will be helpful to someone, please tag them, share this video. So here are some things I would like you to think about and take away from what I'm sharing tonight. Number one, Ask yourself the hard questions. As I was in this workshop, as I have been in therapy, over, the last however many years of my life with different professionals, I have learned that it is crucial, it's critical, it's essential, whichever word you want to use, to ask yourself the hard questions. And what do I mean by that? Like, ask yourself, why do I think like this? Why do I think in this particular way, right? Why do I do things like this? It it did something happen? Did someone say something? Did I see something? Did I read something? Why am I like this? Why do I respond in this way to people, places, and things? Like I know we talk a lot now about like triggers, which may or may not be the word that we need to use for that, but because most of us are familiar with that nowadays, I'll use that word. So why does this thing trigger me? Why does it have this impact on me? Lots of us, self included, have walked around thinking a particular kind of way, doing things a certain kind of way, responding to people in ways that we know are not ideal. We know they're unproductive. We know that it's probably not the best way to do it, but we haven't taken the time to ask ourselves why. Why do I do that? Was it some experience? Was it something that someone said to us? So I would encourage you, ask yourself the hard questions. Here's the thing. Many of us, because we have done this for so long, because we've thought this way for so long, because we have done things this way for so long, we say, that's just how I am. And I don't believe that to be true. I could get churchy and be like, that's a lie from the pit of hell. Because oftentimes we are the culmination, the sum of our life experiences, but that's just the way we are choosing to show up in that moment. But that doesn't mean that's how we were created. In fact, I can almost guarantee you that is not the way that we were created. So that's not just how we are, that's how we've had to become, but that is not us at our purest form, right? At our essence. But again, if we don't ask ourselves the hard questions, we won't know that. We will continue to go through this life in this way and not, perhaps not, live up to our fullest potential, live up to God's full purpose and destiny for our lives because we have allowed this um, alternative self to be the one that we continue to use as opposed to tapping into our true self. So it is my belief that one of the first steps in really becoming your authentic you is to ask yourself the hard questions. So after you do that, don't be afraid of the answers. So if you take the time to ask yourself the questions, then be ready for the answers. Don't be afraid of them. When they come and those answers come, when you're like, oh my gosh, it was that time when I was 4 and somebody said something, did something. It was that time when I was 6. It was that time when I was 12. It was when I was 25. It was the whole year of 2015, like whatever it is, whatever you get when you are exploring these questions, don't run from those answers. And here's the thing. 9 times out of 10, probably 9.9 times out of 10, the answers are going to be hard. They're going to be challenging. They're going to possibly even be hurtful. They're maybe very unexpected, right? Some of us are aware, like, oh my gosh, my parents were like this, or I remember being bullied in school. Like some things that may be a little more closer to the surface than other things, but it could be some things that you are like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that was there. Like that was how I felt. I was like, oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought about this portrait that I did when I was 6 or 7 or 8 or however old I was. I probably was actually closer to 6 because I don't think my little sister was born. Like that's not just at the forefront of my mind. I had to like pause and think about that. And so when that unexpected answer came, I had to tap in. I had to delve deeper into that. So having this awareness that when you ask yourself these hard questions and these answers come, we may begin to see that these thoughts that we have, that these behaviors that we are exhibiting, that these actions that we are doing stem from a very unhealthy place, right? They stem from possibly very toxic experiences. And I want to say that's okay. And let me clarify how I'm saying this. Like, not that's okay that those things happen to us. It is what it is. Those things happen to us. We are not bad people. Our parents may not be bad people. Our grandparents may not be bad people. The people who did the crappy stuff may not be bad people. Those are things that happen to us, and we now need to take that information, take that insight, and figure out what to do with it. So that was the second thing. So first you got to ask yourself the hard questions. Then don't be afraid of the answers. And then as you are taking this valuable information that you have received, even though it may be challenging, it may not be what you want to be thinking about. I encourage us to do the difficult work of addressing what you uncover. So that's number three. Do the work. Do the challenging, hard, difficult work of addressing what you uncover. So if you uncover it was something that happened, maybe by your parents, maybe by somebody in your family, maybe by somebody in your community, maybe by an experience that you had at school or multiple experiences that you had at school. Maybe it was something that happened on your job, like whatever it is, life was lifing and these things happen. Do the work of addressing what you come up with, what you uncover, what you figure out. For some people, that may be therapy. It may be traditional therapy. It may be, you know, tapping in and going to a social worker, counselor, therapist. It may be group work. So let's say your parents were addicts or they drank. So maybe you need to go to Al-Anon, right? Which is the group for family members and people connected with people who are struggling with alcohol addiction. Maybe it is some other type of group. Maybe it is anxiety, trauma, stress, whatever, right? Maybe it is alternative medicine. So maybe traditional therapy is not for you. Maybe it is. I've been learning more about like sound therapy and Reiki and acupuncture and all of the, maybe it's equine therapy. Maybe you like horses. I mean, whatever it is, right? Do the work to address what you uncover. Tackle it head on. You've asked the hard questions. The answers are presenting themselves, and then you are going to do the work of figuring out, okay, so when I was 6 and I had this experience where I felt like I was disappeared, where I felt like it was better for me to be invisible, some small part of that may have been helpful, right? Some part of that may have kept me safe. The 6-year-old me, that might have worked. The 36, 46, 56, 76-year-old me, that probably isn't helpful anymore. So as you're doing this hard work, as you're doing the undressing, addressing what is going on with you, acknowledge that some part of what you did, some part of how you thought or did those things or responded to people, that thing did keep you safe at that time, but it's not that time anymore. It's a new time. And in this new time, you can take away the things that were helpful. You can um, be aware of, and if it was indeed helpful, keep that. But the things that were not helpful, throw that away. A churchy saying is, eat the meat, throw away the bone, kind of that kind of concept. If it was some part of that that actually was helpful. So maybe I don't need to fully show up in every space all the time, talking and over talking and look at me and maybe I don't need to do that. Maybe I do need to, there are benefits to being quiet, observing, seeing what's going on, making, some analysis and then speaking. Maybe that's what I take away from taking a back seat. So maybe being invisible is not what I need to be. Maybe always showing up fully is not where I need to be. But I can take what is beneficial, use that, and get rid of the rest. So with that, like, don't just have the revelation, don't just have the aha moment, don't just have the breakthrough at church or therapy, and then not do something with that. So ask yourself the hard questions. Don't be afraid of the answers. Do the hard work of addressing what you uncover, and then grow from what you learn. So as I said, like, we're going to take the meat, we're going to take the things that were valuable and beneficial to us and use that more. And we're going to get rid of the things that are no longer serving us. And so grow from what you learn. I was thinking to myself, a lot of us say this in and out of church, like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I hate that statement. Like, I don't like that. Because I feel like that is a way we justify like really crappy things happening to us. And like we almost need the crappy things to happen to us for us to be strong. We can be strong without bad things happening to us. I do think though that when we experience these unfortunate events, when we do experience these toxic encounters, when we do have these things that were not ideal for us, we can take from that something that is going to make us stronger, that is going to grow us. It made me think about fertilizer. In most cases, the best fertilizer is poop. Like I've been meeting gardeners and people who are farmers, and they could, probably tell me the reason why poop is the best fertilizer, right? Something in it helps things grow. So we can look at our lives like that, right? This really crappy, poopy stuff that happened to us. We can use it as fertilizer to not stay stagnant, to not, for us to continue to be toxic, for us to continue to not show up like we need to. We can take it and be like, you know what, those things did happen. I'm going to use that to fertilize me and help me grow. And then I'm going to be and do better. I'm going to be and do more. I'm going to be and do what I'm actually called to do in the way that I am called to do it. And then the last thing I want to share, as I was thinking about my experience and how you may be able to relate it to yours, is tell someone, help someone. Don't heal in isolation. What do I mean by this? Am I saying that you have to go out and tell your business on every corner, right? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying though is, for many of us, the experiences that we have had, someone else is currently having it. That person may believe that they are the only person who is having that experience. And so when we share our story, in a way that is deemed wise by us, right? So whether that's writing the book, doing the blog, whatever, right? Pop it on live and sharing your story. When you tell someone, you are helping that person because they are now seeing, oh, I'm not alone. Oh, someone else had this experience. Your story matters. It can absolutely be beneficial to someone else. And when I say don't heal in isolation, what I mean by that is, again, some of this stuff you is solo work, right? Going to your therapist is probably solo work. With the times you are fasting and praying and journaling and crying out to the Lord, that's solo work. And then we go out and we share. Then we go out and we tell someone. Then we go out and we help someone. I personally do not believe that it is helpful to get your healing and never, ever, 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 ever share that with anybody else. Maybe your share is only one person. Maybe your share is an anonymous post in a group. Maybe your share is from a public platform, before tens of thousands of people. How you share is not as important as the fact that you do share, tell someone and you could help someone. I feel like this, when we are brave enough to do the healing work, we might as well be brave enough to share it with somebody else because they really need to know they're not alone. Like the number of times I post about certain things and I get DMs from people who are like, yeah, me too. Thank you so much for saying that. So then they know they're not by themselves. They know that they have at least one other person that they can build community with or have a conversation with or can ask questions of like, well, how did you do it? What worked for you? Those kind of things. So hopefully this all made sense. As I said, it had like a little bit, hey, Brother Keith, as I said, it's a little bit of a therapeutic slant to it, but this is not therapy, though I do encourage everyone, and I will tell anybody this, whether you believe it or not, everybody should be in somebody's therapy. All of us have experienced something, right? Whether you want to call that trauma or not, whether you want to call that dysfunction or not, whether you want to call that, toxic or not, whether you want to say generational, like whatever term you want to use, we have all experienced something. And I personally believe Jesus plus therapy is a thing. So yes, pray, fast, go to the altar, all of that, and seeking wise counsel for you could very likely include a therapist. So I'll just say that. So just to recap what I was sharing, I was talking about some self-reflection I did as a part of this workshop that I was in, and what I took away from my story, and what I want to share with you all is this is my encouragement to you. Ask yourself the hard questions. So one, acknowledge that how you are, especially if how you are is not ideal, like that it's not ideal. Ask yourself the hard questions. Don't be afraid of the answers. Do the hard work of addressing what you uncover. Grow from what you learn and then tell someone so you can help someone. So I pray that has been a blessing to you. If you hung out this whole video, thank you. If you catch the replay, thank you. If you believe that this is going to help someone, please tag, share. And I know, pretty much every video I do, I'm like, tag, share. And that is because I know I'm on social media a lot. And I get people send me reels. I see reels and we talk about some ratchet stuff. We share some crazy stuff. We share some funny stuff. We share lots of stuff. And I believe just as important as it is to share the awful, negative, bad things that are happening in the world, just as important as it is to share the funny video and the funny meme, it is also important to share those things that are going to be a light in this very dark world, that are going to help people from a mental health and mental wellness standpoint. So if anything I post blesses you, ministers to you, challenges you, then I am asking you from a sincere heart to share it, to tag someone, because I feel like this is one way that the Lord is using me to help His people, and so I need your help to help His people in Jesus' name, amen. So as I wrap up, just want to remind you of the upcoming event. So every second Thursday of the month, I am doing word of mouth. Thank you, Dr. A. To God be the glory. Every second Thursday of the month, I'm doing word of mouth. And as I said, you just never know what the Lord is going to do. So show up get the notification, mark it in your calendar. I can guarantee you, because it's from God, it's gonna be good. I'm just his humble servant. So second Thursdays, swag, support, worship, and accountability group starts next Thursday. So that will be every other month. The dates are different, but it's floating around on the flyer. If you have questions about that, hit me up. If you want to register, go to drshlay.com/current events. The fourth Thursday, at least this month and next month, Dr. A and I are popping on to do scripted love. So we'll be talking about The Brothers, which if you have Peacock, I know it's on there. There may be some other platforms for you to watch that. So go and watch that and then hang out with us as we talk about brotherly love. And then in April 11th, a Whole Woman Expo is happening. I want you all, I know we're gonna wait until March 21st to register. I know it's fine. But I encourage you to register sooner than later so you can get the discounted price. And I promise you, you want to be in the room. We are going to be talking about things related to a whole woman. So the four major dimensions of a whole woman. So eternal, emotional, entrepreneurial, and external. And the people I have coming got some good stuff to say. And you want to be in the room. I'm telling you. Plus, it's gonna be vendors, plus you can network and build community. Like, who wouldn't want to be there? So go and register to get your ticket. It is going to be in St. Louis this year. So for all those folks the past couple of years who was like, Dr. S, why I gotta drive over the river? Girl, don't go to Illinois. It's in St. Louis. So come. Um, so yeah, so that's it. So thank you again for hanging out with me tonight. And I pray that this has blessed you. And I love you guys, right? So, anyway, I love you. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Have a wonderful night, a wonderful weekend. Love, hugs, and kisses for Valentine's. And I'll see you next time. Be blessed, Dr. S.